Good evening. Welcome to the Marlington Local School District Board of Education meeting of Wednesday, March 15th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The invocation, Natalie.
Please join me in bowing our heads in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity for us to be here together today. I pray that this Board of Representatives will work together in a positive manner to make strong decisions in benefit of both the school and the community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Roll call.
Josh Hagan,
Here.
Karen Humphreys,
Here.
Kathy Krepko,
Here.
Mark Ryan,
Here.
Jonathan Swift,
Here.
Nash Minor.
Here.
Reading of the mission statement, Mr. Swift.
In collaboration with staff, community, parents, and students, the Marlington Local School District will develop lifelong learners who understand and apply knowledge and demonstrate excellence in pursuing the highest standards with effective intervention to challenge every student.
Thank you. Additions or corrections? Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay. Adoption of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the following agenda for the March 15th, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Kathy Krepko,
Yes.
Jonathan Swift,
Yes.
Josh Hagan,
Yes.
Karen Humphreys,
Yes.
Mark Ryan.
Yes.
Special presentations.
Okay, this is part of the evening where we get to honor our students of the month. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Mr. Farrell from the high school.
Good evening. I have the honor of recognizing two students from the high school here tonight. Our first Elks Student of the Month is Natalie Myrana. Natalie, would you come forward, please? Natalie is the daughter of Jim and Terry Myrana. She is president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and a member of Character Counts and Rotary Interact Club. Natalie is a captain and four-year letter winner on the varsity volleyball team and a member of National Honor Society and Spanish National Honor Society. She is a youth volleyball coach for Marlington and Elite Sports and a member of the Faith Family Youth Group that meets on Wednesdays. Following graduation, Natalie plans to continue her academic and volleyball careers at the University of Mount Union while pursuing a career as a physician's assistant. Very nice. Natalie's teachers say that she is a wonderful student. She is a reliable, hard worker who participates well in class and asks thoughtful questions while relating information to her own experiences. She's the type of student that all teachers love to have in class. Outside of class, Natalie has proven herself to be a leader. On the volleyball court, underclassmen view her as a leader, and she handles that responsibility with humility and dedication. Her overall experiences serve her well in the years to come as she takes on even bigger leadership roles. Natalie, it's my pleasure to recognize you as an Elks Teen of the Month. Congratulations. Our other Elks Student of the Month from the high school is Caden Bates. Caden, come forward, please. Caden is the son of David and Amber Bates. He is an Altman ambassador and member of the varsity baseball and basketball teams. Caden is employed by the Alliance Country Club and also helps run the scoreboard for the Marlington girls basketball team. Caden spends his free time volunteering, playing video games, hanging out with friends, and working out. He also enjoys investing and hopes to one day own his own business. Awesome. And you just came straight from Kent State baseball game, right? Came straight here. Awesome. Following graduation, Caden has committed to continuing his baseball career at Bowling Green State University, where he will study to become a physical therapist. It's fantastic. Caden's teachers say Caden is a very mature, responsible, and polite young man. It's no surprise that he's received this award. He's always one of the first to complete assignments and does them well. Caden is also a talented and driven athlete. He has overcome adversity with grit and grace. It is obvious to his teachers that Caden has a bright future and is well-deserving of all accolades that come his way. Caden, it's my pleasure to recognize you as an Elks Teen of the Month. Congratulations. Next up for presentations, middle school principal, Mr. Rizzoletti.
The first middle school student of the month is Landon Hawthorne. Landon is the son of Elaine and Matt Hawthorne, and this is what his teachers have to say about him. Landon's always ready to help out. He's a leader in class and is a great mentor to fellow classmates. Landon comes in with a smile and continues to spread friendliness to all. It doesn't matter who's in his group. He'll get along with everyone and continue to be a great partner. Landon leads through his actions. He's respectful to his peers and to adults. He's a responsible, hardworking student. Great job, Landon. Keep up the great work. Our next middle school student of the month is Bailey Young. Bailey is the daughter of Connie Young and Jade Young. This is what her teachers have to say about her. She's a great student that's kind to her peers and goes out of her way to acknowledge others when they have something special happening. She overcomes obstacles and always has a smile on her face. Bailey has a positive attitude and is a true leader because she spreads that positive energy throughout the class. Bailey's well-liked and is a valued member of the choir. She is a talent for singing, and teachers are always thrilled to see her every day. She is always encouraging others and checking to see how they're doing. She greets classmates in the morning before school and always strives to do the right thing. Bailey's a pleasant, smart, and helpful young lady. She's very responsible and an honest student, plus is willing and able to work with all members of her class. We're very proud of Bailey Young. Next is Mrs. Weber and Lexington.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Weber, and I'm the principal at Lexington Elementary. I have the honor of introducing our Kiwanis Student of the Month, Mr. Landon Fisher, son of Carrie Skelding and Stephen Fisher. Come on up. Landon's teachers have a lot of nice things to say about him. He is polite, conscientious, hardworking, and he is always giving 110% in all he does. They can always depend on him to take on a task, help others with directions, and he is eager to learn. Landon loves to learn new things. Before he leaves for the day each day, he always shares a fact about something new he has read about. Way to go, Landon. Your teachers are proud of you, and they want you to keep up the good work. A couple other things about Landon. His favorite subject is science. And if you ask him, he has 2 dogs, 1 chinchilla, 1 betta fish, 2 cats, and a snake. kind of snake do you have? A corn snake, okay. Keep it at home. Also, when he grows up, he wants to be a herpetologist, which is someone who studies reptiles and amphibians. And finally, a couple things about him. He enjoys crafting and bird watching, and he likes catching frogs, salamanders, and crayfish. Landon Fisher. Next up is Mrs. Mort from Marble Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. I get the distinct pleasure to introduce our Marlboro Kiwanis Student of the Month, Mr. Reese Peterson. Come on over, Reese. We have a prop. I like props. Mix it up real good, okay? Okay, yeah, okay. That'll be the culminating activity. It'll be fun. Everybody will like it. So a little bit about, and that's his family, his lovely family back there, that whole area. I'll introduce them shortly. A little bit about Reese from his teachers. Reese was selected for this honor because of his amazing work effort in all academic areas. Reese's teachers see that he is giving extra efforts to do his best to be successful, and they are immensely proud of him for that. Reese meets and exceeds our Duke Pride behavior expectations and is an excellent role model for our younger students in the building. Great job, Reese. Continue working hard. A little more about Reese. His favorite subject in school is science because he likes to learn how things work and he enjoys the hands-on activities, as we see. Some special things about Reese's family. Mom and Dad are Rachel and Ryan. They're back there in the corner. And Kylie's in 12th grade, and Brennan's in 10th grade, Emma's in 8th grade, and baby Crew is 1 year old. They have 2 cats, Oscar and Chloe, and 3 dogs, Blue, Kinsey, and Abby. And as a family, they enjoy playing board games, especially Uno, and visiting relatives in Florida and Georgia. They also like the opportunity to venture out and watch a movie together, and this can be a little difficult to decide which one is the best due to their age difference. So we do what's best. Mom decides. So the most important thing is they get to spend time together as a family. Reese's future plans, he wants to be an eye doctor. And he also wants to visit Tokyo and learn about their culture. In Reese's free time, he likes to hang out with his brother Brennan, playing soccer and playing games. Their favorite activity is to practice solving the Rubik's Cube. And they often race each other. Brennan is really good, and he typically wins. But Reese is not giving up. Brennan has taught him some specific strategies that are within the rules of Rubik's Cube to use, to play. It's like loosening up, right? I thought you were going to wait. You did it all. Okay. Did we time him? Did anybody time him? Mom? No. Okay. Well, go ahead. Yeah, you'll probably finish before I'm done talking. Did you mix it up really well? Mrs. Humphreys, make sure he mixes it up really well. Okay, he's good. This guy's good. I was going to say he can solve the regular Rubik's Cube. His best time is 30 seconds, right? And so now he's going to demonstrate for us again. Look at him, he's going. Nice job, buddy. Get in front of everybody. Reese Peterson. Next up, Washington Elementary, Mr. Spondil.
Okay. Tonight, very excited and honored to introduce Washington Student of the Month, Hunter Lamp. Hunter, come on up. Okay, a couple things that teachers wrote about Hunter as why he was selected. Hunter Lamp was selected as our Kiwanis Student of the Month because of the significant improvement he has made this school year. Hunter has an incredible work ethic and drive to succeed academically. This is apparent not only in the classroom, but also in his involvement as a member of the 2023 Washington Elementary Math Team. And I believe you won an award at the math tournament as well? What'd you win? 7th place overall? 7th place overall, so good job in the whole county. Hunter has also worked very hard this year to discipline himself, and we have seen impressive growth as a classroom leader because of his increased patience and awareness. He is an impressive student both academically and beyond. He has shown great growth this year and continues to push to be the very best version of himself every day. We are very proud of Hunter and look forward to watching him gain even more success throughout the rest of this year and well beyond. Great job, Hunter. Congratulations. A few more things about Hunter. His favorite subject in school is math, obviously. About his family, he lives with his mom, dad, and brother. He has a pet cat, and something they like to do together is go bowling. One day, he'd like to visit a big city. New York, LA, or Washington, D.C. are on the list. And in his free time, he enjoys playing football, basketball, and golf, and also enjoys drawing. Congratulations again, well deserved.
Okay, this is at the point that we start the main portion of the meeting, so if anybody wishes to exit now, they can, or they can stick around for the next portion of the board meeting. Okay, moving on here. Next up, I have the pleasure of introducing Rick Baxter. He's the president of the Alliance Area Development Foundation and the soon-to-be president of the Alliance Area Chamber of Commerce, starting May 1st. I do happen to be able to be part of the Alliance Area Development Foundation, so I listen to Rick speak when we have those meetings about the economic development within our boundaries and Alliance. So I just asked him to come tonight to give a board an update on area economic development.
Thanks, Dan, for the invitation, and always good to see familiar faces and faces I see around town. So congratulations on your victory out there. I know you guys had some great cross-country meets this year, and indoor track, good luck with that. Just some updates. Obviously, just a background about Alliance Area Development. It was formed a little over 20 years ago. Some business leaders got together and decided there wasn't enough being done to help spur economic development in our area, so they started Alliance Area Development. I'm actually would be the 4th president of the organization. I spent some background on myself. I spent 20 years in the commercial banking world, And then the board came to me and said that the current president was retiring, asked me to take over the organization, knowing that our president of the chamber was going to be retiring in the next 2 or 3 years when I took over, that they would ask me to take over both. So what's one more responsibility, right? So, but I love doing it, so it's all good and good. Also, just some updates on things going on. Obviously, the Meyer Plaza, thank you to the board for your help with that too, to help make that happen. As you can see, pretty much everything has been taken down. The Dunham's is now open. It just opened last weekend. They're up and running, and it just looks fantastic. The Myers crew is planning on coming in starting in April, and then you'll start to see some of the building and all that start to happen, with the plans of that opening up in the spring or early summer of next year. They're still in the process of working on and letting us know who potential additional retailers will be. They're looking at another 4 or 5 additional retailers. So they're kind of still working on those. So hopefully we'll hear some more about the good things possibly coming. We kind of say in the economic development world, it has the Meyer effect. Meyer tends to do their homework, and when other businesses and national retailers, national restaurants see a Meyer go into town, they know that it's a good place to be. So we'll start to see a little bit more activity there as well. Another company that's coming into our industrial park, they bought 20 acres at the corner of Freshly and Main Street Extension. It's called IML Containers. You'll start to see as soon as the weather clears, they're going to start doing some work out there. They are based out of France. They currently are leasing space over in Canton. They have about 15 or 20 employees now, but once they get their plant built here in Alliance, they're going to probably up to about 60 employees, which will be great. So they do work for companies such as Land O'Lakes and Yoplait. They make the plastic containers for those types of companies in the food industry. Really excited to see some of the things that they're going to do and the jobs they're going to create. So that'll be exciting to see that. Actually, just last week, we had another company that's looking at 50 acres out in the industrial park as well. It's codenamed Project Pioneer. So we can't tell who it is, but it's a very, very large company in the auto industry. Would be very, very high-paying jobs, both in the manufacturing side and also in the engineers. They would have probably 20, 25 engineers, close to 300 potential jobs, which would be fantastic for our area. We're kind of down to about 3 locations. We're one of the 3. So we put on a really good presentation to them when they came in to look at the site, gave a site visit. But our site really hits all of the points that they're looking for. We've got the rail access. We've got the nice. And one of the things that they're really struggling with is workforce. I think a lot of companies are struggling with workforce. We are really working on building that workforce, which I'll talk about here in a second, some things we're doing with that. But we have a good location for that. We have a lot of manufacturers that have in the area. We draw from Youngstown, Akron, Canton. So I think we were able to give them a peace of mind that they could find a really good workforce here. Another project, or I guess that you guys may be familiar with, I know our organization gave $5,000, along with the Greater Alliance Foundation, gave $5,000 to start the Stark Economic Partnership, or Stark Education Partnership Program that's involved in the youth science program that's going to be given to 7th and 9th graders. That program is going to help our students kind of take a little aptitude test, take about 30 minutes or so, and they will get a chance to kind of see what strengths and weaknesses they may have. But we want to match up those strengths if they have a particular field that they're good at, whether it's healthcare, manufacturing, something like that, and we're going to match them up with a local business to give them tours, give them some mentorship, things like that, that hopefully helps build up our workforce for the next generation. So we have those jobs coming, but we also start to have workforce ready to go. Let's see. That's kind of the main things I wanted to update on. Like I said, national retailers, national restaurant chains are looking at our area. We're just continuing to hopefully create really good jobs and hopefully continue to grow our tax base and see good things happening for both our Marlington schools and also our Alliance schools. The Amazon plant, which you may know just down the road, is going to be opening up in May. They have quite a few jobs out there. So our next biggest need that we're working with local developers is housing. Marlington actually has probably the most area available to build houses with some of the landowners in that too. So that's going to be a big need. You have all these jobs created. We want the people to live here, stay here, and hopefully play here. And the other thing we're working on is more things. I know I hear people talking about they like to go bowling, they like to go to movie theaters. We kind of lost a lot of that. But we're working with some local possible investors to hopefully bring some of that back to Alliance so that people will not only want to work here but live here and have things to do. So those are other things we're working on too. Any questions?
Hey, Rick, can you
Yeah.
touch base on some of the things in Alliance that are happening, maybe on the other side of town, down there where Tractor Supply is, or I know you talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And where the Blue Fig was, and some other things that are happening just in general that are near our area.
Yeah, so the Blue Fig, actually that restaurant has been bought by a couple out of Utah, a really neat couple. They are going to be changing it over to a Korean, Italian, American restaurant. It's kind of a unique thing. It's called a fusion restaurant. The lady, she's Korean. She has some really great recipes. She's quite an investor too. She has a very unique background. In fact, she just had an article about her in Entrepreneur magazine that talks about her. She's a really neat lady. So they're basically putting a lot of investment into that as well. And then obviously the Meyer project that's going on there. We're hopeful that as that continues to grow and fix the potholes, I think would be an ideal thing for everybody. Except for the auto repair places, they were going to lose business. No one needs repairs anymore. So anything else? Downtown area, they started to have a First Friday where they're going to have more events happening downtown. Where we do have a restaurant called Sister Social that opened up downtown. It's a good restaurant down there, and we're trying to bring more things to the downtown area to kind of revitalize that too. So, any questions?
Questions?
Very good.
Is there any chance that there's a Chick-fil-A in our future?
Yeah. My kids said when I took this job, if the only thing I did would get a Chick-fil-A, that they would be happy. So
How's that going?
Yeah, not yet, not yet. But I will say, like I said, with the Meyer happening, that gives us. I can say this too. People said Alliance would never get a Starbucks, and we have one, and it's probably one of the more successful ones in the area. I mean, they're very, very, very busy. So it's just a matter of time. I've actually been very proactive. I've emailed their headquarters. I've sent them, hey, look what's happening in Alliance, and they probably get sick of me, but because I would love to see one too. It'd be a great thing for our community. So, yeah. Anything else? Appreciate your time, and thank you for all that you guys do for the school. As a 1989 graduate, I appreciate all the hard work you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you
All right,
very
thanks.
much.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, we're going to be moving on now to our OSBA presentation, or update. That would be with Ms. Kathy Krupko.
It's been pretty quiet. The big thing that they're working on is hearings over school funding and legislation. And I think they just had another session yesterday. So there's no news coming out of that yet. Mr. Swisher and I are going to attend the Northeast Regional meeting on the 28th, correct? Mm-hmm. And on April 13th, I will be attending the OHSAA Liaison Committee meeting in Columbus. So I'll have a little more to give you in April, but that's about it.
I'd also like to add that at that meeting, they're going to be recognizing Kathy Krupko for 10 years of service to the Marlington Board of Education. Thank you very much, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we're going to have our presentation from our student board representative. That would be Nash Minor.
So to start off with some academics, this is the time of year that I like to call lockdown time. It's when classes get pretty darn serious and assignments are rolling in, rolling out, and just trying to get through this kind of long stretch of 5-day weeks. So in this time, the juniors took their ACT not too long ago. I've heard some pretty good things, so hopefully we'll get results in about a week or two. So I know they're eager to get those back. I know I always was. And we're also approaching the end of the third 9 weeks, which is pretty crazy to think that we are almost 3/4 way through the school year. So I know people are pretty eager for that as well. Then looking at some extracurriculars. First, we had our National Honor Society induction, and we inducted 27 members, seniors and juniors alike. It was a really nice ceremony, and yeah, it was really exciting to see such a great group join the society. Our character counts has also been hard at work. We had the Random Acts of Kindness Week back in February, and they did all kinds of things throughout the week that were really sweet for staff and students. There were candy on our desks some mornings. There were nice notes on our desks, and they really did a lot of work to make sure everybody had something, which was really sweet of them. And then also their coffee sales have been very successful, which we have another one this Friday. We have them before school where they prepare tons of coffee that people can buy for $2. They're always a huge hit, and it's a lot of fun. Our academic challenge competed at the Aquinas Club meet at Mount Union back in February, and they placed 4th, so it was a pretty good day for them. Also, our horticulture is busy at work getting ready for their spring sale starting in May, so that will be a big sale for a lot of spring flowers, so keep your eyes out for that. Then for more of the art side, our concert band had someone donate some money for a drum line and some wraps for the drums. So they got their drums all refurbished and rewrapped to make them look good as new. They got retuned. It is a huge project that they undertook, and I must say I heard them the other day. They were beautiful to listen to. It's really nice, and so a very professional grade. So that was really nice. And they also had their concert just recently, and that went really well also. And they're looking forward to a trip to Disney coming up at the end of this month, so that's going to be a lot of fun where they will get to perform at a competition down there. Our choir also had their March concert earlier this month. That went very well. And they competed at the OMEA district adjudicated event. For scoring, the scores range from a 1 to a 5, 1 being the best and 5 being the poorest, and they scored a 2, which is a really good accomplishment for such a large group. And they are also going down to Disney later this month, so that's really exciting. The musical is coming up. The first showing is tomorrow and all of this weekend. The tickets can be bought online on our website. And also, if you come in the doors, you can buy some flowers for the people of the cast. So if you'd be interested in that, that will support our horticulture. On the sports side, this was the time of year that was most of the postseason. Our bowling team had some EBC honors of a second team member and 4 honorable mentions. Our cheer team had a really exciting end where they were the state runner-ups in Division III non-building small. They competed really well and beat a lot of teams to get the position, so congrats to them. Our boys basketball also had a very good finish of their season with a lot of hard-fought games throughout the season. They had a good amount of EBC honors with the first team, 1 second team, and 2 honorable mentions. Our girls basketball had a really exciting first, which was getting district champions. That was a first in program history, so that was extremely exciting, and they then competed in regional semifinals. Unfortunately, did not win that game, but it was a really fun game to watch, and it was just electric in that stadium. Had a lot of EBC accolades here as well, with the player of the year for the conference being Elizabeth Mason. We had 3 first-team members, 1 second team, and 2 honorable mentions, and that's a pretty high amount of first teams and second teams, so that's really exciting. Our wrestlers also had a pretty cool end of their season with 3 state qualifiers and 3 state alternates going to the state meet, which was really cool down at OSU. It just looks like a really awesome venue. They also had some really impressive Stark County honors with 2 first team, 3 second team, and 3 third team, which is really impressive, especially since we're considering this across the entire county of 20-some schools. Our swim our girls team finished with a really fun state meet with a lot of really impressive performances. There were 3 top 5 state performances. Claire Cox had a very notable state runner-up in the 100 breaststroke, and the relay placed 6th place. And in the time of doing all of those amazing state performances, we had 2 new school records. So very exciting, and hopefully they can continue this next year. Indoor track had a busy past 2 weeks. The weekend of March 3rd, they competed at the indoor state meet held up at Spire. The team overall were the state runner-ups in Division 2-3. The 4x8 were the state champs with a time of 7:58, which I believe also was a top 3 time in state history for Division 2-3 indoors. Colin Cernansky was the 600-meter state champion as well, and we had 3 individual podium finishes. Not long after, they also continued to compete at New Balance Nationals in Boston, and it was a really cool experience there with a indoor national runner-ups in the 4x1 mile relay. They ran a time of 17:34.29, which that time puts them in the top 25 times in nation history for indoors. So that is really a cool accomplishment. And it's also to be noted that they were second by 1/8 of a second. So it was a really cool photo finish to the end. So really cool accomplishments there. And just to keep updated with everything that's going on in the high school, follow the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And there are a lot of really great updates as things are happening. It's kind of absurd how quickly things happen. So just keep up to date with that.
Great, thank you, Nash.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Nash.
Where'd he go? I'm sorry. My grandson. Thanks.
Oh, he's over there.
Bob.
Turn my name for 1 second.
Good evening. It's now we're to do our superintendent's report for March. It will be a significantly shortened superintendent's report. Nash and I played phone tag for 3 days, so when I always go into reasons to celebrate, you'll find out why. So I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to breeze through my reasons to celebrate. It's a few things that Nash did not touch base on. Then I got a Nexus pipeline update. I want to talk about our summer projects and then talk about next month where we're going. So I am going to talk about winter sports, band and choir briefly. I can add celebrity readers since Nash didn't touch base on that. So he was unaware of our celebrity readers. That's fine. He did talk about girls basketball. I added names to where that was at, but they did have a wonderful season, as noted. And then with a picture of them, a little bit different pic. He did talk about our boys basketball too. He kind of had their where they were at, based on that. I just added some names to some of our players. Really appreciate. Wrestling, I was down last Friday to watch the state qualifiers down there, to watch Aiden Bean and Quentin and Phoenix, and it was an experience that the kids really got to enjoy. Phoenix ended up making it to Saturday, and ended up losing in overtime on Saturday. So the kids had a really good time. Our boys, like he was right, between the boys and girls, they did have 4 honorable mentions. So the boys had 2 on their bowling team, and the girls also had 2, and then Cora Wines was second team EBC. Our swimming, as he said, it was an amazing year to watch our girls and boys swim. But our girls really had a great year as a group. Which that state meet was also extremely fun and packed. It's a great venue over there at Canton at the Nat. Our cheerleading, as he said, they were second place in the EBC, and then obviously they were state runners up. They also had the 88% with the EBC Scholar with an average of 3.6 GPA. He did speak briefly about the band and choir, which I'm not going to repeat exactly everything he said, but everything that he said is exactly accurate. They had a pretty good month, in that aspect between the band and the choir. Here's what Nash didn't get touch base on, so him and I are going to communicate a little better next month. Talking about our celebrity readers. So the elementaries had a readathon. It was basically to encourage reading, build literacy. It's also a fundraiser to support reading initiatives and any projects that they see fit. So our elementaries, we did have some celebrity readers so I just put a few of those up there. Some were on video, some were in person. So as you can see, Mr. Swift and Mr. Ryan, Mrs. Krupko, and Mr. Hagan, Mr. Ryan didn't put his PJs on.
No, that's
Those are your pajamas. All right, making sure that's it. So they got a chance to read to some of our students at the elementary level. So it's nice that they got to able to do that, and the kids could visit and have somebody read to them. So we really appreciate that. So that was something that was nice this past month. The Nexus pipeline update. I talked about it last month that there was an opportunity there where it got thrown out of court, so we had to wait about 30 days to see if Nexus was going to reappeal again. Obviously, our hope was that they would not. So just the other day, we did get the news that they did. So Alan Harold reached out to us, and I just kind of read what Alan, kind of shared for me to share with the board. He said, unfortunately today, Lorain County Auditor appealed the recent dismissal by the Board of Tax Appeals to the Ohio Supreme Court. We will have an idea of the schedule over the next few weeks, but this appeal could take a few months, could take a year. In this appeal, the Lorain County Auditor is seeking the right to present evidence that the value of the pipeline is settled too low. The Board of Tax Appeals held that the auditor did not have the right to challenge the settlement. So there's two possible outcomes to this. One is the Supreme Court upholds where the Board of Tax Appeals was, be a done deal. The other thing could happen, the Supreme Court could disagree with the Board of Tax Appeals, and then we just kind of hang on and wait, because they're going to have to come to a new conclusion or decision, which he feels could take anywhere between 1 to 7 years. He says, I want to make it clear that nearly all, maybe all, auditors within the Nexus pipeline area remain opposed to this appeal. We're exploring additional steps to consider alerting the court to our opposition to this appeal. Should you or your board have any questions, please let me know. Sincerely, Al. Okay, so in a nutshell, we're just back to where we were at last summer. No news is no news. So, what they did is they kind of dropped in some news that was kind of exciting, that we were able to move forward with some additional funds that would give the opportunity for our district to continue to look at different capital projects that might have been a little bit more costly on the front end. At the same time, that got yanked back out. It did last summer. It got yanked out from us again, so we just kind of wait. So it's just something we got to deal with. So that's kind of the news. That's about all we have at this time. Bob, I don't think we have anything more than that, correct?
Same.
All right. Finally, it was brought up in the work session on Monday. Mr. Swift said, hey, what's going on with our safety grants? Or grant? Well, we have more than one. So obviously we were aware that we got that $500,000 safety grant. I kind of want to give you an update where we're at. So Mr. Evanich and Ben have been kind of putting together a list of what it would cost to get these projects done, so we can kind of tell you what projects we're keying in on which match the grant. So we're really looking at new PA systems for all 5 of our buildings. We're looking at updating and adding security cameras, so updating some and adding additional throughout the district. And then we're actually going to be looking at adding classroom telephones to every room in the district. So that's what we're looking at with the $500,000. Then we applied and got a new safety grant for $10,337.19. So we're using that grant for fob access to our Hort building and the Moulin Center. So we have some new doors there that we put in at the Hort building and new doors at the Moulin Center. Fob access is quite expensive to put in. So we're going to go ahead and use that money for that, so we're not using district funds. Additionally, we have applied for another $20,000 grant for safety and security at this time. That's where we're at. We'll see if we get the grant. Finally, there was another grant, the Bureau's of Workers' Comp grant, that says it's up to $40,000. We applied for $40,000. We'll see what happens. We're looking at, actually for that, we're looking at floor scrubbers right now with that. Floor scrubbers are very expensive. So if we get that, that would offset quite a bit. We just kind of don't have them. So these are things that would help out with our custodians quite a bit. So we got some prices on those, and that's going to be part of that. So that's kind of all the grants in progress right now from the safety side that we've applied for. Any questions on the grant or Nexus pipeline update?
Just want to say thank you to the grant team. I know you have a group that works on these, and they've brought in a great deal, and really appreciate their hard work on this stuff.
No, it's a good group.
Dan, I have a question. In the
Yeah.
case of the Nexus pipeline, so we're going to just continue receiving at the rate we currently are?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were anticipating on a yearly rate of about $1.3 million, I think is I mean, that's a rough estimate, but on an exact dollar figure. So that's what we would continue to receive. So it's not like we're not getting money. Like I said, we're just kind of back to that original conversation where we started in the summer when Lorraine originally appealed.
1 million versus 2.
Correct. Before I talk about summer projects, April board, and talk about the now where we're heading the next month. I pushed transportation and technology off because we had a lot to cover because I had the summer projects that we're going to talk about here in a minute. And obviously mental health is an ongoing subject in the county. So I do want to review some things that we've done with the staff when it comes to what we have for a crisis plan. And the board needs to be updated on that also. And so we're going to kind of review some of that next month. All right, next I'm going to talk about summer projects. Get me in there. Okay, we had a board work session last week? 2 weeks ago? Last week?
Monday.
On Monday, I think March 6th, to review. We had a special meeting, and then we had a work session following that, but that was to review with the board what we could talk about for summer projects. I wanted to review with, basically, I'll go through this quickly because the board, through the work session, is kind of okay with the direction we're going. But there's a couple things we started off the meeting with. We have two funds when you're talking about projects for our district. We have permanent improvement funds, and then we have capital improvement fund, or an 070, which the capital improvements obviously are Nexus pipeline money, and the others are permanent improvement, which is levied money that our taxpayers voted on years ago, which brings in about $500,000 a year. In our permanent improvement funds, we have a little over $1,332,000 in there. And currently in our capital improvements, we have about $864,000, which is basically about $2.1 million. So this gave us an opportunity to take a look at some capital projects that we wanted to do, and I wanted to be proactive. So Al and I kind of spent the last few months trying to come up with a list of larger projects. Again, when I say larger projects, I mean these are projects I think that need to be brought to the board's attention and approved. I'm not talking about all the things that we normally would do in the summer when it comes to painting projects or projects that the custodians work very hard on throughout the building and updates that go in the building. These are more ones that we have to bring for the board's attention for approval. So I'm going to briefly go through some of these. We talked about the courtyard. The courtyard we're talking about here is at the high school. The walls around the courtyard obviously have the bricks need to be grinded down and tuck pointed and filled. Basically, it's what's doing. It's letting weathering in water, moisture. It's causing the inside of inside the classrooms. All you're doing is seeing continuous peeling paint, and it's a mess. So we just wanted to get this addressed because I do have another plan for that courtyard versus just being all grass. That'll be later. That's a later discussion. We have a plan. We have a couple door projects we needed to complete, and doors are not cheap. So we have the Lexington Elementary has one door left, a custodial door replacement, and we have a Marlboro. We have a door replacement there, door 8. So when we get those doors taken care of, and that will include fob access, there's a cost there. So we're getting those 2 doors. We discussed that. We discussed with the board paving. Paving's a big project. A couple slides here, to be honest with you. But we have some paving needs. This is an example at the high school. You see the yellow, it's kind of X'd out right there. That's kind of what we took care of. We sealed, we filled it and sealed it last summer. And obviously we still have to, if there's anything that popped up over the winter from the ceiling that we addressed then this following summer, but it just makes the maintenance much lighter. But all the red needs done. Some of it needs paving, some of it just needs sealed or filled. So we're going to take care of all that, I hope. That's kind of one of my tentative things there with the high school. Okay, just to keep that fresh. Lexington, a lot of talk there about paving needs. So you kind of see there the red, yellow, and green. It's a situation where I don't even know where to start. It needs done in all areas. So that's, and that needs to be more than just filled and sealed. That's pretty much an entire paving project to do it right, because we have current cement sloping towards the building, causing water issues, for the building. It makes it difficult for traffic when it rains. So we kind of looked at all that. So that's a project that we'll look at recommending getting done this summer also. Marlboro, same issues in that big lot right there. It's got a lot of potholes. That's all gravel, or it's like a mixture of like a slate gravel. So we wanted to kind of take a big look and see if we could get that done too from a paving standpoint. So that's another project there. In Washington, we have a project there. I don't know why I had a picture of Washington, but it's no longer there. So when you're talking about Washington, Washington has one small gravel lot that we're not looking at this year. We're going to look at next year. And then it needs same thing. There's holes and things that need sealed and cleaned up all the way around. That needs done. And then I don't have the middle school on there. Middle school's the same boat. We also have projects at the middle school. We have a walking path around the middle school that isn't really a walking path anymore. It's more of a hazard path. So we need to take the walking path up and redo it. And that walking path gets used often in school and from community members. So we want to kind of get that taken care of. And then we do have a section of the lot that needs sealed, and some of it needs paved, just because our buses do run down that every day in their loop, and especially in the back corner back there. So I didn't have pictures. So paving's probably the bulk of the huge summer project. It's a decent chunk of change, which we'll discuss a little bit when we get into new business if they have any questions on that. So we did discuss that. Again, I think, we talked about landscaping. So we just talked about our Marlboro, Lexington, Washington. We're talking about the mowing, the weeding, the edging. These are things that I prided on last year to make sure that when people go around our buildings, it looks like our buildings are done on the outside and it isn't just left until like a week before open house. All right, so we had a company come out and do that. We had some quotes on that, so we're going to do some recommendations with that. I think it's important to know that it's more cost effective this way. You're talking about hiring a single individual or two, and
One of the subjects of a forthcoming recommendation, but we can talk about that at that time.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
The next item is to recommend some revised appropriations, in particular the appropriation to the general fund.
So moved.
Discussion?
Can I chime in now?
Yeah, but I lead in a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
The recommendation is to add to the appropriation for the general fund a total amount of $357,500. And you want me to break down what those items are, Dan?
This is a conversation with Bob and I. It's the only reason I asked to chime in on this was him and I meet regularly, and when you're talking about appropriating, moving general fund money in the tune of $350,000, how does that affect the general fund? Some of these items kind of, we talk about it, it's broken down for you in front of you, but these are things that are, some of it's out of our control. So at the end of the day, what Bob's going to talk about here, I can touch base a little bit more on, is obviously fuel's a little bit more expensive this year than we thought it was going to be. And what we're talking about is a budgeted amount. Bob, I call him not Bob when these things happen. But, you know, with Dr. Main being, starting off the year, she set the budgets for our Ford Marlington. So, you know, he didn't set the budgets. So the budgets were set by a previous treasurer. So if our budgets don't meet to what can get us to the end of the year, we have to make adjustments for that. That's what causes this. So fuel-wise, she set a budget. She didn't know. You don't know what inflation is going to do or not. So you just kind of set a budget. So Bob determined we're going to be about $37,500 short to get us through the rest of the year. So we need to make that appropriations now, you know, to stay ahead. We talked about this in the last meeting, or I think, or at least I did. We talked about buses, or one of our sessions. Typically, we purchase a bus every year, maybe two, and we haven't asked for any buses this year. There's a couple of reasons why. One of which is we had 4 buses go down this year, and Tom sat with Bob and I and had a nice discussion, and Sherry, and he basically took apart the engines, bought new, and replaced them and put them in himself. Which, you know, it cost us
To save money.
to save money. Replacing those 4, so we have 4 buses back on the road, but at the same time, there was a cost to that, which I think was probably around $20,000 to $25,000 maybe per engine, and that's in his own time. Then he does it during his own time. So that wasn't anticipated budgeting the year, so we're kind of short there about $70,000, which is why we're looking at what we're asking for. The other one's electricity. Obviously, we don't have any boilers in our district anymore outside of the high school. You know, we switched the mini splits at the 3 elementaries, and so anticipating that, there was a budget amount set for electricity. I can't speak for the previous treasurer, you know, so when it comes to the budget ends for that. So, but at the end of the day, we use more electricity at our buildings than we ever have in the past, because those mini splits are heating and cooling. That's where we're seeing the major short, you know, basically is what we're saying.
So pretty much the same thing we're all dealing with. Groceries are more expensive, gas is more expensive, fuel is more expensive, electric is more expensive, and we didn't take that into consideration last year when we did the budgeting.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't.
And Bob's being safe here. I don't know if we're asking basically for the board to make sure we're good. It's about 175,000 is where we're at on that, but.
Yeah, and like one thing to keep in mind too is that, you know, there's a couple accounts that are budgeted, you could say reserved, set aside in the treasurer's account just for things like this, for overruns. And I have been taking money out of that to fund other things. You know, like even the bus parts, I already pulled 70,000 from there to help get that up to where it should be. Or it wasn't the bus parts one, but I've been taking money out of there to do that. And I probably have in those accounts that are to cover some of these year-end shortfalls, probably still over $135,000 that will help. The big unknown is knowing throughout the district at this point, since I didn't develop the budgets, are there other ones that are going to be short? Are there other ones that have plenty? So I think at this point in time, the best posture to take is that this will be a negative impact on the forecast by about that much, but we really don't know yet. We'll know more as the year progresses and we start to get closer here. We'll be working in the upcoming months, obviously, on the 5-year forecast too, where we'll have to research some of these things because that May forecast is due at the end of May. We'll have to have a sense for that, and my goal is that will also really set the budgets for the following year when we do the May forecast. So we'll try to look ahead as much as possible to do that. But one note, like with the volatility, you know, like Dan mentioned, previous treasurer setting the budgets. I ran like one report for the fuel, for example, to see what we have spent there. 2 years ago, we spent $112,353, $112,000 on fuel in the district. Last year, we spent $235,000. So it really doubled. This year, what was appropriated? $175,000. So you can kind of see that the assumption was that last year was an anomaly, it was too large, but let's bump it up from what the historical norm has been, but still lower, thinking it might could, but that's really a crapshoot. And it's such big numbers that a swing like that, there's, you know, over $100,000 variance right there. So it's hard to predict that, and with the size of our budget, maybe $350,000 and change for an appropriation change at this point in time isn't as bad as it sounds, but it's obviously not the direction that Dan or I would prefer it be going. But I can tell from looking at these accounts that we're going to need more in them. Been working a lot with our accounts payable person too, and she has a good handle on the history, what's going on, how much these things tend to run per month.
Final piece in that appropriations is obviously we have special ed there. You see it's for $75,000. My former job obviously was pupil services, which encompassed all special ed. Same with Mr. Evan. And he's done a wonderful job this year. It's just special ed's an anomaly. You never know year by year where kids need to be placed or what disability categories you're going to face or what's going to happen. So we just we're a little bit off on the budget there, or how Patty budgeted that amount. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's done a pretty good job looking at historical norms, but at the same time, there's always years that things go up and down. So we're just a little bit off there too.
With our funding regarding special ed costs, I mean, does that fluctuates too all over the place? I mean, what affects that? I mean, we don't, so if our costs go up, we don't receive more funding for it?
No, it's kind of, we're at the mercy of, it just depends on the size of your school district, what your district can offer. So we're a medium-sized school district is how I place it. We're not a Malvern or a Strasburg with, 500 or 600 kids for a K-12 district, and we're not Canton City, Jackson, where you're talking, 4,000 or 5,000 students or more. At a couple thousand students, what I consider a medium-sized district. So special ed-wise, we get our funding, we get IDEA funding, federal grant funding, but that's roughly on average for us between $400,000 and $500,000 a year. That doesn't even really put a dent in what we have to spend in special education funding, and that's normal for most districts. It's not there to completely offset your costs. It's there to help support the costs of the kids you have in your district, which it does. And then you have years where there's certain things that our size district can't offer. It just depends. We can offer a lot, but we can't. Sometimes we're not equipped as a district to be cost prohibitive to deal with certain disability categories because we just can't. Yeah. And that's what happens. So that makes a difference in that.
Hey, Bob, can you go back to the electricity amount? So it's 175 more to meet the budget for the end of the year. So what was the total again?
The amount that was appropriated. See if I still have volume here. Sorry about that. The amount that was appropriated for the year for electricity for all buildings was $253,000. We have spent year to date $263,000. Now, the reason that can be over little is we also had some carryover purchase orders, prior year encumbrances that got paid. So it sounds worse than it is. The way to look at it is that we were appropriated $253,346 for the year. The remaining available budget is $28,234. So we've basically spent all of our electricity budget.
So you have what you said, March But February's paid, I take it, right?
No, we're paid through January with.
Paid through January.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So electricity has,
Everything's behind a month.
is definitely the place where we need to increase the appropriations the most to cover that.
And the bulk of that, you said, is the elementary buildings? For the increase, that's what you're saying?
Is what?
You said the bulk of the increase came from the elementary buildings, right?
Oh, no, I didn't say. I meant electricity just in general is the bulk of the change in the appropriations being requested. I do have that by building if it would help to break it down.
I thought maybe.
High school's our biggest user.
Okay.
No,
Well, you said something about the boilers.
I did, because we were 3 boiler systems, which was gas operated, for almost the entire existence of Marlington up until the renovations were done. We switched to the mini splits to give them air and heat inside the building. So those are mostly ran off electricity. They're not.
So all the
gas.
boilers in the elementaries are shut down?
All our boilers are shut down, correct.
And that leads into the question, how are we on the appropriations for expenditures on natural gas?
Well, natural gas costs quite a bit less as far as our expenses go compared to electricity, at least in total, like our usage, Like I said, the appropriation for electricity is about $253,000 for the year. The appropriation is about $67,000.
For the natural gas?
For the natural gas, for our usage. We only have $11,282 of remaining budget left in that account. However, looking at what's encumbered, which is $27,948, about $28,000, that's probably more than 2 months already encumbered. So we may be okay for the year, depending on the seasonal need for that. It doesn't look like a problem. I bet we'll have enough or close to it for natural gas, but at most I'd expect, $11,000, $12,000 surplus there.
You expect 11 to 12,000 surplus on the gas side?
Best case scenario, that would be if like the existing purchase orders that we have in place would cover the remaining bills for the year.
Yeah, Bob, are you expecting to come back to us between now and the end of the year with new revision, or is this a one-time thing?
I don't expect to have to. However, when we generate the forecast and we do more work and we find out where things are at in May, there's always that chance, Jonathan, especially since I don't know if there's any other problematic accounts or if we have ones where there is too much budget that we can borrow through. So one thing we can do when we work on the forecast too is to just really look account by account and look for those ones that may have benefit that way. It could get better.
If I'm doing my math right, this is less than a 2% increase in what our budget actually was, right?
I guess that would be.
Like 1.5%, it's like 1.7 something. So it's not, as from an inflationary standpoint, when we're dealing with 9% inflation and 8% inflation, we're not talking about running over the budget, by 10 percentage points. We're talking about 1.5% in this economy. So it's not terrible.
That's probably a helpful perspective, but it sure seems like a big number to come to you to ask for.
On those engines for the buses, are those new or rebuilt? Do you know?
Probably remanned.
I think it's a little bit of combination of both. He rebuilt them, obviously. I don't, and some of it, I can't.
Did he rebuild them, or did he get remanned or new engines in?
I'd have to
just put them in.
I don't want to speak for Tom. Okay. I know we met. He told us. Don't get me wrong. He went through and had a complete parts list and everything it was. But I will get that answer. I don't want to say it's new, then it was rebuilt, or vice versa. But I trust him, so I'll get that answer and find out.
What's that?
It was either new or remanned. He wouldn't have to.
Okay.
Any questions about that? Any additional ones?
Manufactured, they were brought in already.
We'll call the roll on that one.
Okay. Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Next item on the treasurer's agenda is to recommend a motion to approve the resolution accepting the amounts and rates.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, did I cut you off?
Basically, this is, the sheet in front of you is an estimate of the rates that will be applied to each of our levies. It's an estimate done by the county auditor, and this resolution by the board is then authorizing him to collect the taxes on our behalf.
We want that.
Yep.
Okay.
We want that money.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is to recommend that the board approve the donations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Would you read the donations, please?
Okay. From the Stark County Foundation, the Care Closet, $250. That's also the John N. and Norman Teeple Memorial Fund, Lucy M. Crone Memorial Fund. And from Penny and Jim Frederick, winter coats to Washington Elementary, valued at $330.
Our thanks for those donations. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Thank you. Personnel?
Personnel, if wish to ask for the board's permission, if it's okay to, I'd like to do a consent for personnel only.
Fine.
Okay. So just as I'll give a brief update, we have 3 administrative staff up for contract renewal. Kitty Mort, Ashley Weber, and Greg Travis. So I'm asking for from August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2026. We have we have a couple classified retirements there, 2 bus drivers. We have a classified resignation. We have a few classified resignations there in front of you. We have a classified hire. We have an ESSER tutor hire for next year, not currently right now. This is for the 2023-2024 school year. This gentleman is Joe Cardinal. Just figured I'd throw that name out there because he's also in the supplemental hire with a few track coaches. But Joe will be released as of tonight with board approval. He'll be our new head football coach for Marlington. Then we have some non-traditional subs and some classified subs. Basically, with any of those classified hires or that are pretty much moving around or replacing what resigns, comes back. It's not, none of these are addition to ours.
And all these names are listed in the minutes.
They are all listed in the minutes, yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, upcoming events. We moved our board meeting to tonight because starting tomorrow through Sunday, we have the high school musical Annie. So if you get a chance, please come see it. The musical is amazing. I saw the preview. I'm excited. Looking forward to tomorrow night. I think Mr. Ryan will be here almost every night for that, so that's good. End of the third 9 weeks. As Nash said, you know, we're flying. I mean, we're at the end of the third 9 weeks. March 24th. March 27th, that's a Monday night. That's a National Honor Society inductee. So Nash talked about who was tapped. So this will be the formal ceremony that happens that evening. So if you guys can attend that, that would be great. We have spring break coming up, April 3rd through the 10th. There will be no school. April 10th, the kids are off, but staff's back in. So the day after Easter, our staff's working. So we're here for Staff PD Day. And then April 19th, we're going to have an immunization clinic. Then obviously, we have all the spring sports are starting up too. So you take a look at the athletic tab. I don't list all those out every time.
Nice.
Okay.
Did I miss something? The 26th.
We're about to discuss that.
Oh, okay. I was like, why
You're
are we
jumping
moving
ahead.
the board meeting? I'm jumping ahead, sorry.
Next Board of Education meeting, it does April 26th. It's the last Thursday of the month.
I
Work for
switched. That's a
everyone.
Wednesday.
Oh, it's a Wednesday. Sorry.
Well, I asked for the board to, if they could look at going to our next board meeting. We're the third Thursday of every month, which would be April 20th. Mr. Foss is out of town. He's at the Treasurers Conference during that time. So I would request that we just go out an extra week there. So I was looking for the Thursday, the 27th. Well, that's also our elementary STEAM night.
That day.
Okay, so that's STEAM nights. That's we're gonna, our elementary kids that can't be here, and our parents want to be at both. So if we could go the 26th, the Wednesday again, if you guys are okay with that?
That works.
We go to April 26th.
That works.
That works with everybody.
Right.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Shouldn't we be voting when we're changing the date of the regular meeting, since we set it up and voted for the regular meeting dates at the organizational meeting?
That's a good question.
Well, we can recommend the motion for that meeting. That's fine. I guess it should be worded, recommend the motion to change the meeting date versus just announcing in the upcoming. I just
Yeah.
kind of used that template, so it's a good call.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please. Oh, sorry.
Just one suggestion that
Yeah.
whenever these extracurricular things are set up, if they could be a little more aware of oh, never mind, because that's a different week than what we
Correct.
normally would have done anyway.
No, we actually.
I'm quiet now. It's okay.
We actually do a master calendar. We actually
got
do
it.
in advance that never interferes on a board meeting night.
As I started to say that, I realized we bumped it back a week.
Okay.
Never mind.
Blame Bob. Blame Bob for it.
Bob.
It's up.
Just blame
Bob going to a meeting. Unbelievable. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Kathy?
Second.
Second. Jonathan? Any discussion?
Mark was second on that.
Oh, was Mark? Did Mark beat Jonathan? Okay.
Sure.
I don't know.
We'll give it
I
to Mark.
think he
I
might
didn't,
have.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
That's all right. Call the roll, please.
It's up to Bob.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Swift.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.